So where's your career at? Well, we've got an author with us that'll join us in just a minute who's going to help us find the perfect job. Welcome back to Connect. I'm your host, Con Patrick Jackson, and Gary joins us right now. And how will we feel after your 90-day career diet?
You're going to feel like you're hosting the Super Bowl in a week. That's how you're going to feel, excited and all giddy. That's right.
And Gary, what is it about the 90-day time frame that makes it an ideal length?
You got to take control and you got to take action. And I just find that people are too complacent. We've all been there. And we get in a rut, we do the same thing. And, if I told you were going to lose your job in 12 months, I guarantee you'd think a hell of a lot quicker than 90 days.
Well, I've got to ask, change is hard. So on this diet, what do we mentally have to be prepared for to succeed?
Well, you gotta, there's a recognition that you gotta learn more. I mean, in today's economy, pace of change and all that, if you want to earn more, you got to learn more. If you're learning, you're probably growing. If you're growing, there's going to be more opportunities. So that's something that you really have to be looking at every 30 days and ask yourself, am I adding new skills to my toolbox?
And Gary, what are some of the things we need to learn on the career diet? Because we know when we talk about nutritional diets, we talk about carbs, fats, and proteins. But on this diet, the career diet, what do we need to know?
It's around strategic agility, mental agility, people agility. People agility today, what we find particularly with youth is they've never really learned how to make a connection with another person. And despite everything is online today, that is incredibly important. And relationships matter, networks matter. And that's part of this diet is that, an aspect is going to be, what are you doing with your networks? How are you relationship building? And that's something that the millennials really, they really haven't had that. They didn't grow up in that world.
So Gary, I'm curious about the first steps to building that conversation. Do we just go out and buy a cup of coffee with someone and practice?
Well, that's whenever you say networking, you think of the knife salesman at the state fair. I think we all have this wrong image. Networking starts with doing something kind for the other person. And so you have to have that mindset of everybody that you're coming in contact with, are they feeling better after that conversation than before? You really do want to have that mindset and kind of practice, random acts of kindness. And then you have to stay in contact with that person because ultimately the 6 degrees of separation, it really does work. And what you're going to want to do is you may want to look and target companies outside where you work today. Well, to actually do that effective, you want a warm introduction into those companies. And you want to do that based off relationships. You knew somebody that knows somebody that works at that company. That actually works.
Well, one thing's for sure, we certainly want things to work out. But when it comes to small talk, Gary, what does that mean to you?
What it means is making a connection with the other person. And, it runs the gamut. Just take an interview. An interview is a horrible experience. It's this kind of cross between Disneyland and a dentist. And, people think it's going to be an inquisition rather than a conversation. And so small talk for me is about making a connection and having a conversation. And it could be about anything. It doesn't really matter.
Well, Gary, I'm intrigued, but share with our audience. I thought it was pretty interesting how this book is set up and why you did it that way.
Well, the premise is really about taking control, and it's about, treat your career like you do your health and have a plan and, go through assessments, in other words, have the MRI and create a plan on growth. And that's what it's all about.
Well, certainly, Gary, we appreciate that you put the time into this book. It's going to help so many people with their career. Great advice, very unique. The 90-day career diet, I recommend it to everybody. Thanks for joining us and connecting with our viewers.
Well, thank you.